Imagine your partner's last wish was for you to never, ever open one door in your own home. Would you keep that promise, or would grief and suspicion push you to find the truth? This is Ilara's story, and what she found behind that door changed her life forever. This is a story of hidden battles, impossible choices, and the strength it takes to live again after heartbreak. If you've ever questioned a loved one's silence or wondered if secrets can ever truly protect us, this story is for you. The silence in the sprawling modern penthouse wasn't peaceful. It was suffocating. It pressed in on Ilara like cold, wet concrete, filling the spaces where Leo's booming laugh, his off-key humming in the kitchen, the rhythmic tap of his keyboard late into the night used to reside. 2 weeks, 14 days since the sleek black car had pulled away from the private hospital, carrying not Leo home to recover, but Leo home to eternity. A sudden cardiac arrest, the doctors said. Devastating, unexpected. A cruel twist of fate for a man who ran marathons and built a tech empire before 40. Ilara drifted through the minimalist rooms, a ghost haunting her own life. Sunlight streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. Dust Leo would have meticulously banished. Her fingers trailed over the cool marble countertop, the leather of his favorite reading chair still indented with his shape. Every polished surface, every abstract painting he'd chosen, every echo in the high ceilings screamed his absence. He'd designed this place as their sanctuary, a testament to their success and love. Now it felt like a gilded cage of grief. Her gaze inevitably was drawn down the long, shadowed hallway leading to the west wing. To the door, solid walnut, unadorned, unlike any other in the apartment. It stood sentinel at the very end, radiating an aura of forbidden mystery. Leo's final, insistent command echoed in the hollows of her mind, a chilling counterpoint to the warmth of his last labored breaths. Promise me, Ilara. Swear on everything we are. You will never, ever open that door. Not while I'm here. Not after. Promise me. His eyes, usually so vibrant with intelligence and mischief, had been clouded with pain and something else. Fear? Desperation? She'd clasped his hand, cold despite the hospital warmth, tears blurring her vision. I promise, Leo, I swear. But why? What's in there? He'd only shaken his head weakly, a single tear tracking down his gaunt cheek. Just trust me, please. It's for your own good. Remember, never. And then he was gone, slipping away before she could demand, before she could understand. He made her swear on their love never to open that door. Now tell me, dear viewers, if your dying partner begged this of you, could you keep that promise? Or would grief and suspicion eat you alive? Type, I would keep it, or I would open it below. The promise felt like a shackle. What could be so terrible behind that door that he demanded such an oath on his deathbed? Affairs? Evidence of some hidden dangerous life? Debts? The questions gnawed at her, a constant, corrosive companion to her grief. Was her entire marriage, their 15 years of shared dreams and passionate love, built on a lie concealed behind solid walnut? Anyone who has lost a loved one knows the suffocating silence, the haunting presence in familiar spaces. The added layer of a deathbed secret creates an immediate, visceral tension. The days bled into each other, a monotonous gray. Friends came, bearing casseroles and platitudes that rang hollow. He loved you so much. Time heals. He'd want you to be strong. Ilara nodded, thanked them, and retreated further into her shell. Their words felt disconnected from the man who had extracted that terrible promise. Did he love her? If so, why burden her with this crushing mystery? She tried distracting herself. She sorted his vast wardrobe, the scent of his cedar cologne clinging to the fabrics, bringing fresh waves of pain. She attempted to tackle the mountain of paperwork, wills, trusts, corporate transfers. Leo, ever the meticulous planner, had left everything in immaculate order, except for the secret behind the door. His lawyer, Mr. Baker, a man as polished and reserved as Leo himself, handled everything with smooth efficiency, his eyes occasionally flickering towards the West Wing hallway with a fleeting, unreadable expression. "The penthouse is entirely yours, Mrs. Vance," Baker stated during one meeting, tapping a file. "All assets are transferred. Leo ensured you'd be secure." Did he leave any other instructions?" Ilara ventured, her voice barely a whisper. "About the apartment? Specific rooms?" Baker's gaze remained steady, professional. "Only what's documented here, Mrs. Vance. The standard clauses regarding property maintenance." He offered a thin, sympathetic smile that didn't reach his eyes. "He loved you deeply. His focus was always your well-being." Well-being, Ilara thought bitterly later, staring at the forbidden door. Feels more like a life sentence of doubt. One rainy afternoon, seeking solace, she wandered into Leo's study. It was his inner sanctum, usually off-limits unless invited. Neat shelves lined with business tomes and sci-fi classics, his state-of-the-art workstation dormant. She sank into his ergonomic chair, the leather sighing beneath her. Her eyes scanned the familiar room and landed on something unfamiliar, tucked almost out of sight behind a framed photo of them, hiking in Patagonia. A small, sturdy key, nondescript brass. It lay on a tiny velvet pad, as if placed there deliberately, recently. Her heart hammered against her ribs. It looked old, utilitarian, nothing like the sleek electronic fobs or modern keys used elsewhere in the penthouse. A cold certainty washed over her. This is for the walnut door. The sudden appearance of the key shatters the passive grief. It feels deliberate, almost like a message from beyond. Did Leo want her to find it? Did he change his mind? Or is this a cruel trick of fate? Oh, family, what would you do right now? Have you ever found something that made you question everything you knew about someone you loved? Share your stories in comments. Found key if you'd open that door today. Let's see who's brave. The stakes skyrocket. Obey the deathbed promise and live with crippling doubt, or break it and potentially shatter her image of their entire life together. The key burned a hole in Ilara's pocket. Days passed. She carried it everywhere, its weight a physical manifestation of her internal torment. The walnut door seemed to pulse with malevolent energy at the end of the hall. Sleep became impossible, haunted by Leo's pleading eyes and the terrifying possibilities lurking behind the wood. What if it's something horrible? Proof he never loved me? The thought was paralyzing. What if it's something dangerous? Something that puts me at risk? Fear clenched her stomach. But what if it's something else? What if he was protecting me from something painful? For him. A fragile, desperate hope flickered. The turning point came unexpectedly. Sorting through a box of old photos, happier times, birthdays, vacations, Leo's vibrant smile beaming out, she found a picture from their 10th anniversary. They were on a beach at sunset, windswept and laughing, utterly in love. Looking at that image, at the pure, unguarded joy in Leo's eyes, a conviction solidified within her. That man, the man who looked at her like she hung the moon, would never deliberately hurt her. Whatever was behind that door, his motivation, however misguided, stemmed from love. Maybe a broken, fearful love. but love nonetheless. To truly honor him, to truly grieve him, she needed the whole truth, even if it destroyed her. Ilara grapples with the universal conflict between respecting a loved one's wishes and the desperate human need for understanding and closure. Her decision isn't about defiance. It's about seeking the full picture of their shared life, believing that love, even flawed, deserves the light of truth. Have you ever broken a sacred promise? Did regret or relief follow? The walk down the hallway felt like crossing a chasm. Each step echoed in the cavernous silence. The brass key felt cold and heavy in her trembling hand. She stopped before the walnut door, pressing her forehead against its cool, smooth surface, breathing in the faint scent of lemon oil and dust. "Forgive me, Leo," she whispered, her voice thick with tears. "I have to know." With a shaking hand, she inserted the key. It turned with a smooth, well-oiled click that sounded unnaturally loud. She turned the heavy brass knob and pushed. The door opened silently onto darkness. Not a room, but a small, windowless antechamber. The air was still and cool, smelling faintly of antiseptic and something else. Paper? Old electronics? A single recessed light flickered on automatically as she stepped inside, illuminating another door directly opposite. This one was different, heavy steel, like a vault door, with a complex electronic keypad glowing faintly blue in the dimness. Ilara's breath hitched. A door within a door? What labyrinth of secrets had Leo built? Panic threatened to overwhelm her. She knew the codes for their safes, their security systems. But this? She approached the steel door, its surface cold and impersonal. Desperation warred with despair. Was this it? Had she broken her promise only to face an impenetrable barrier? Then, her eyes caught it. Taped discreetly to the side of the keypad, almost invisible, was a small, folded piece of paper. Her name, in Leo's familiar, precise handwriting, was written on the front. Hands trembling violently, she peeled it off and unfolded it. "My dearest Ilara, if you're reading this, you broke your promise. And part of me, the selfish, scared part, is furious. But the bigger part, the part that loves you more than my next breath, knew you might. Knew you'd need to understand. The code is your birthday, backwards, then the day we met, 0105, then the month we married, 09. I could never forget those numbers, even when everything else faded. I'm so sorry. For the lie, for the burden, for leaving you. What's inside? It's the truth I couldn't bear to tell you while I was alive. Be strong, my love. Forgive me. Forever. Yours, Leo." Tears streamed down Ilara's face, hot and fast, blurring the words. Fury warred with a crushing wave of love and sorrow. He knew. He anticipated her pain, her need. He left her a way in, even as he begged her not to take it. The complexity of his love, his fear, his protectiveness, was staggering. Taking a shaky breath, she entered the code. 510109. A soft beep, a heavy thunk of bolts retracting, and the steel door swung open smoothly. Light flooded out from the revealed room. Ilara stepped inside, her eyes struggling to adjust. It wasn't a den of iniquity or a vault of stolen riches. It was a medical suite, stark, clinical, yet strangely personal. One wall was dominated by a large, sophisticated-looking hospital bed, neatly made. Beside it stood monitors, now dark, an IV stand, and a small pharmacy cabinet, locked. But it was the other walls that stole her breath. They were covered, floor to ceiling, not with pictures of another woman, but with them. Hundreds of photographs, candid shots, selfies, professional portraits, spanning their entire 15 years together. smiling on beaches, bundled up in snow, cooking disasters in early apartments, triumphant at product launches. A visual tapestry of their love story. Interspersed with the photos were sheets of paper. She stepped closer, her heart pounding. Medical reports, dozens of them. Dates stretching back. 3 years. She picked up the top one, her eyes scanning the dense medical jargon. Words leapt out. Stage 4, glioblastoma multiforme. Inoperable. Aggressive. Prognosis, terminal. Estimated 12 to 18 months with aggressive treatment. The world tilted. Ilara staggered back, collapsing onto a small stool near the bed. Glioblastoma, brain cancer, terminal, 3 years. Memories flooded back, sharp and painful, viewed through this devastating new lens. Leo's increasing headaches he'd brushed off as stress. The business trips that had grown more frequent and unexplained, now clearly treatments, clinical trials, specialist consultations. The times he'd seemed distant, withdrawn, irritable, not because he'd fallen out of love, but because he was fighting a monstrous, invisible enemy. The times he'd held her so tightly it almost hurt, clinging to the life he was losing. His fierce insistence on building their financial security, ensuring she'd be taken care of. It wasn't just ambition, it was desperation. The final piece of the horrifying puzzle clicked into place. The walnut door wasn't hiding betrayal. It was hiding his battle, his suffering, his fear. He hadn't wanted her to see him diminish. He hadn't wanted her to endure the slow, agonizing erosion of the man she loved. He'd wanted her to remember him strong, vital, Leo. He'd carried this unbearable burden alone, shielding her with a wall of secrecy, believing it was an act of love. His final desperate command was an attempt to spare her the brutal details of his decline, even in death. Dear viewers, I ask you now, was Leo right to shield her? Or is sharing even painful truth always better? Grief, sharp and new, ripped through Ilara. Not just grief for his death, but grief for the years of hidden suffering. Grief for the battles he fought alone. Grief for the conversations they never had, the fears they never shared, the comfort she couldn't give. She sank to the floor amidst the photos and medical reports, sobbing uncontrollably, her body racked with the sheer magnitude of his secret and his sacrifice. She cried for his loneliness. She cried for his fear. She cried for the weight he carried, believing isolation was protection. She cried for the moments she'd misinterpreted his pain as coldness. The death that changed everything wasn't just his physical passing. It was the death of the illusion he'd meticulously constructed. Hours might have passed. The clinical light buzzed softly overhead. Gradually, the storm of tears subsided, leaving a hollowed-out exhaustion, but also a strange, fragile clarity. The monster behind the door wasn't infidelity or crime. It was the terrifying, human reality of mortality and love, pushed to a desperate extreme. Her eyes landed on a sleek laptop sitting on a small desk tucked in the corner. A sticky note was attached, "For you." With trembling fingers, she opened it. It powered on instantly, no password needed. The desktop background was a photo of them laughing, drenched, on that rainy London trip they'd loved. A single video file sat in the center, titled simply, "My Truth," for Ilara. She clicked play. Leo's face filled the screen. He was sitting in this very room, in the hospital bed. He looked thinner than she remembered, paler, his eyes shadowed but still intensely familiar. He'd lost some hair. The vibrant energy was dimmed, but his spirit flickered in his gaze. "Hello, my love." His voice was softer, rougher than his usual confident tone, but undeniably Leo. A small, sad smile touched his lips. "If you're seeing this, well, You found the key, and you broke your promise." He sighed, running a hand over his closely cropped hair. "And honestly, part of me is glad. The bigger part, the selfish part, wanted to scream the truth from the rooftops every single day. Wanted you to hold me when the fear got too big. Just wanted you." He looked directly into the camera, his eyes brimming with tears. He quickly blinked away. 3 years ago, Alara, they found it. A ticking time bomb in my head. The kindest, most brutal doctors laid it out. Aggressive, terminal. Maybe a year, maybe a little more, with everything they could throw at it. I just couldn't tell you. I saw your face, your beautiful, hopeful face, and I imagined it crumpling. I imagined the light going out of your eyes as you watched me fade. I couldn't bear to be the reason for that pain. Not when I could shield you. Or so I thought. His voice cracked. Stupid, arrogant Leo, thinking he could control this, control your grief. He leaned forward, his expression fierce with love. "Listen to me. Every single day, through every treatment, every moment of sheer terror, it was the thought of you that kept me fighting. You were my anchor, my reason. Seeing you laugh, hearing about your day, planning our future, even a future I knew I wouldn't share, that was my oxygen. The distance, the business trips, the times I snapped, that was the tumor, the drugs, the sheer fucking terror of leaving you, my love. It was never a lack of love, never. My love for you is the only thing this damn disease couldn't touch." He took a shaky breath. "I built this room, my secret command center. Baker helped, discreetly. The treatments, some were experimental, brutal. I didn't want you to see me like that. Broken, vulnerable. I wanted you to remember me whole. The man who carried you over the threshold, who danced badly at our wedding, who built Vance Tech for us. I know it was wrong. I robbed you of the chance to be there for me, to say goodbye properly, to share the burden. For that, I am so desperately sorry. Please, please forgive me." He paused, gathering strength. The sudden heart attack, a rare complication, they said. A small mercy, maybe, sparing us both a longer, uglier end. But it also robbed me of the chance to tell you myself, face to face, to explain, to beg your forgiveness with my last breath. His expression softened into profound tenderness. "Ilara, my fierce, beautiful, incredible wife, my dying wish isn't about that damn door anymore. It's this: live fiercely, live joyfully, travel to all those places we talked about, laugh until your sides hurt, fall in love with life again. Don't let my death or my stupid secret become your cage. That would be the real tragedy." He managed a weak, genuine smile. "There's paperwork in the top drawer of the desk, legal stuff Baker handled, but also plans for the Leo Vance Foundation, funded by the life insurance policy I took out secretly. It's substantial. Its mission? Supporting families navigating terminal illness, counseling, financial aid, resources, helping them talk, share the burden, avoid the lonely path I chose. Maybe you could run it, if you want. A legacy born from my mistake, but aimed at good, our good." He looked straight into her soul through the screen. "You are the best thing that ever happened to me, Alara Vance. My greatest adventure, my deepest love. Thank you for every single moment. Now, go. Open the real doors, the ones that lead to sunshine. I love you. Forever." The screen faded to black. Alara sat in the silence of the hidden room, surrounded by the evidence of his love and his suffering. The grief was still there, a vast ocean, but the corrosive doubt, the terrifying questions, were gone, replaced by a profound, aching understanding. and a love deeper and more complex than she'd ever imagined. He hadn't betrayed her. He'd loved her too much, in a way that was tragically flawed, but utterly real. His final act wasn't the command, it was the video, the truth, the release. The walnut door remained open. Ilara didn't close it. She spent days in the hidden room, not with morbid fascination, but with a need to understand the scope of his battle. She read his clinical trial notes, saw the dates correlating with his business trips, found logs tracking his symptoms, his fears scribbled in margins. She cried over photos of him hooked to IVs, his smile strained but still present. She began to see not just the suffering, but the immense courage it took for him to face it, largely alone, driven by his love for her. She met with Mr. Baker again. This time, her eyes were clear, though shadowed with sorrow. "I found the room, Mr. Baker. I know everything." Baker sighed, a weight seeming to lift from his shoulders. "He made me swear secrecy too, Mrs. Vance. It was the hardest professional obligation of my life. He loved you, desperately. His only concern was shielding you." "He shielded me from him," Ilara said softly, "and from the chance to be his partner truly, till the end." She pushed the foundation proposal across his desk. "I want to do this. The Leo Vance Foundation. Exactly as he outlined. More, even. We need to help families communicate, to break down the walls that terminal illness can build." Baker nodded, a flicker of respect in his eyes. "It would be an honor to assist you, Mrs. Vance." Months passed. The sharp edges of grief softened, though the ache remained, a familiar companion. Ilara sold the penthouse, the gilded cage, the site of both immense love and hidden pain. She bought a smaller place filled with light, where every room felt like hers, chosen freely. The Leo Vance Foundation launched quietly at first, then gained momentum. Ilara spoke publicly, not just as a benefactor, but as someone who understood the devastating impact of unshared terminal illness. She shared their story, carefully, respectfully, focusing on the lessons learned about communication and the importance of sharing burdens. She talked about the walnut door not as a symbol of betrayal, but as a monument to the tragic cost of misguided protection. She talked about the video, about Leo's final wish for her to live. Donations poured in, stories poured in, families touched by similar silences, similar secrets born of love and fear, found solace and resources. The foundation funded counseling, support groups, financial aid for families struggling with medical costs and grief. It became a beacon, advocating for open communication in the face of mortality. One crisp autumn morning, a year after opening the door that changed everything, Ilara stood on the deck of a small boat cruising the Norwegian fjords, a place Leo had desperately wanted to take her. The air was cold and clean, the water impossibly deep and blue, the cliffs majestic and ancient. She wore a bright red scarf, a splash of color against the monochrome grandeur. She wasn't running from her grief. She carried it with her, woven into the fabric of who she was now. But she wasn't drowning in it either. She felt the sun on her face, the wind tugging at her hair, the profound silence of the wilderness. She felt alive, present. She pulled out her phone, not to capture the view for social media, but to capture a moment for herself. She held it up, framing the breathtaking vista. And then, softly at first, then stronger, she began to hum. It was off-key, tentative, a melody Leo used to butcher in the kitchen. A smile touched her lips, genuine and warm, reaching her eyes for the first time in what felt like an eternity. Tears welled, but they weren't tears of despair. They were tears of remembrance, of love enduring, of a promise finally understood and a new path unfolding. He'd made her swear never to open that door, but death had changed everything. It had forced her to seek the truth, shattered her world, and then, slowly, painstakingly, revealed a way to rebuild it, not on the foundation of a secret, but on the bedrock of hard-won understanding, forgiveness, and the enduring power of love, even beyond the grave. She had opened the door to his secret, and in doing so, had finally found the key to unlocking her own life again. The greatest tribute she could offer Leo wasn't perpetual mourning. It was living, fully and authentically, carrying his love with her into the sunlight. She turned his secret into a beacon of hope. Sometimes the doors we're afraid to open hold the answers we need most. Have you ever transformed pain into purpose? Share your journey below.